A buddy cop film with all the sexism and racism that I can only assume Mel Gibson wanted in Lethal Weapon. Jamie?
Okay.
Let's go watch 48 Hours.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. Here we are, as we are every other week, talking about our movies from the 80s. Some of them great, some of them...
Mannequin.
Yeah. Well put, well put. Should we just get into this? Oh, I guess... Should we just get into it? I kind of want to.
Okay, I know you want to, but as we discussed... off air, I guess this could be a very short episode.
True.
And I do have a couple things I do want to say, and I want to run by you because this is what we do. We make plans while we're recording so that everybody can hear this process, this wonderful process that you and I have come up with.
So fun for everyone.
So last year for our anniversary episode, we allowed listeners to choose a film that neither of us had seen, and we gave them choices. I thought this time it would be fun to give them a choice of a franchise, an 80s movie franchise. And then once that choice was made, then give them the choice of film from that franchise.
One?
And I've decided, and I'll announce the franchise options next time.
Okay.
But if anybody wants to give us options for that even?
Sure. We're open.
The less work we have to do. I'm sure I could go to IMDb.
The more pleasant.
And type in 80s movie franchises. But here's what I would like to say. And Jamie, you can tell me if you don't agree.
Okay.
Horror films off the table. I feel like
you know what? We have a whole month devoted to Halloween.
It's too easy. Because I think a bunch of Halloweens were in the 80s. A bunch of Friday the 13th. Yeah. So, yeah. So, all
right. So that we must eliminate. That's immediate elimination.
Here's the rules. If people do want to nominate one, I'd say a franchise is at least 3 films, right?
I'll take it.
And all 3 should be in the 80s. So I think that disqualifies like Back to the Future.
Yeah. That might do a severe cutoff to some of them.
It might. But I'll see what I can come up with. And if anybody has any that they'd be interested in, just let us know. Facebook, Twitter, all that great stuff.
All the good stuff. Oh, this is going to be a good one.
All right.
Anniversary. So 48th episode. And this is our 2nd anniversary? Crazy.
Yeah. Last week I thought it was our last time. I thought it was our 3rd. I can't do math. Wait, there are only 20 weeks in a year, right? I was going to say more stuff, but I can't. Why front load this with nonsense when we can get into
with nonsense, with the truth,
hours?
What people need to know when they watch this movie. Be prepared, people. This film is dark.
I have a question for you. Had you seen this before?
No.
Neither have I.
Not to my... No, you neither.
No. And I don't know how it escaped me because I'm not going to say this is right up my alley, but I don't know how I got to this part of my life or this point in my life without having seen this.
So you feel whole now. Do you feel whole again?
There's a little piece of me that is now there.
That's amazing. That's so euphoric for you, Nolte, and Murphy.
I mean, it makes sense. I can't see this playing on, well, I'm sure it played on cable or on TV, but hatchet job they would have to do to this movie.
Oh, man. What a foul script.
I don't know. I read somewhere where the word fuck was uttered 48 times. Now that seems a little too coincidental to me, but it wouldn't surprise me if they cracked 50.
It wouldn't surprise me. I would think more than that.
Yeah.
And the N-bombs and all the rape, it was just like wrought with like, I felt like, you know, like when you think about like oh, people in the 50s and there's fountains and the water, separate drinking fountains, and just how far we've come, I guess, for civil rights, right? Not to get all heady out, but then I watch a movie like this and I think, wow, the 80s, I didn't think was that long ago, but what a racist
I don't know. Like, I think we are at a really difficult point in our lives because it was 35 years ago. Like,
wow.
That is a long
You mean difficult
time.
like that number's hard to accept? Do you mean that kind of difficult? Okay.
Yes. Like, this movie was made 35 years after separate drinking fountains, and now we're 35 years removed from that.
So we have come a long way then.
Yes.
That's my takeaway from 48 Hours is.
It's a big, don't say this anymore. Don't talk like this.
This makes people really uncomfortable. This isn't how you interact at all.
And the other thing is, this was sort of the first, if not one of the first, or I guess I should have said that the other way, buddy cop movies out there. This genre did not exist before this movie. Yeah.
True.
So I think it has to be given credit for that. And it's also tough for me to think because as I was watching it, I was kind of thinking about these other movies, like, of course, Lethal Weapon. And I kept thinking things like, oh, you know what? Lethal Weapon did this better, but I can't think that way. Because I'm like, well, Lethal Weapon just stole this movie. Just said, okay,
right.
Well,
this
let's
was the
do
pioneer,
this.
sort of. Right.
But they'll both be cops. Like, there you go.
Right.
There's Lethal Weapon, and we'll make 4 of them, and they'll get so much worse. And there was a sequel to this one, too, which I don't...
Were they in it?
They're in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Do you think Annette O'Toole comes back? No, because she's like, where did all my scenes go? All right. So this was directed by Walter Hill, who in the 80s, not so much now, was a really good director and producer, and he had a hand in all of the Alien films and directed Brewster's Millions. Which he wanted Eddie Murphy to be in.
That's a good time,
And a movie called Southern Comfort, which is really great too, and has a lot of the same people in it. But he enjoys violence in his films, and I think that was another thing that surprised me was how gritty and violent this movie was at times. Where I kind of went in thinking, okay, this is just going to be an Eddie Murphy laugh fest, and I'm like, did that guy just get shot a lot not wearing a shirt? Because that's disgusting.
They get the Indian guy, too, right in the chest.
Right in the chest. And it's just
Native
exploding everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. And, folks, if we do say Indian, it's just for time. Like, I kept writing Indian in my notes. Like, at first I was like, Native American. I'm like, this takes way too long.
I was into the same thing, too. But they refer to him that way, so you're kind of in it with them, and you're like, all right.
Right, yeah. But I don't think we should refer to Eddie Murphy by what Nick Nolte calls his character throughout the
It's not that kind of podcast.
No.
I agree.
No. Okay, all right. So let's get into this. It stars Nick Nolte.
What a joy to hear that man eating his face. What is that voice? I guess people you get used to it, but
I could not see talking to this guy every day. I'd be like, clear your throat or something. Like, why
you just want to give him a Ricola, right? Or like, hey, buddy, have a cup of tea.
I just wanted Eddie Murphy slap the cigarettes out of his hands and be like, this is not doing anything for your voice.
And I like his weird, well, I guess we'll get into the weird relationship with this girl that he has. That the movie takes place over the 48 hours, right?
Yes. And it starts out, and this movie, first of all, it's an hour and a half long. It is a breezy hour and a half.
It's breezy.
These buddy cop movies, and I'll talk about this throughout, I'm sure. The biggest issue I have with them is that they're so long. They're always 2+ hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this is so quick, and it takes almost a half hour for Eddie Murphy to show up.
I know, that's true. I know. I kept thinking Eddie Murphy's the one in this, right? That's what I was thinking. Well, because we start with this railroad scene, right, where the inmates are working on the railroad.
Which I guess is a thing.
Well, I couldn't tell what they were working on the railroad. Were they trying to get the rocks away from the railroad? It was kind of a weird gig.
I have no idea, because maybe this was a thing in the 50s. When was Cool Hand Luke? When was that made? That was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't a thing in the 80s. Like, you don't take inmates out and have them, like, clear. Did they have picks, or were they just pulling up rocks?
They had picks. They had tools, I remember. That's why I was like, who's going to use the tool? But what?
No.
Yeah, I didn't understand. And now, wait, this guy is in jail for, because they talk about what their charges were for being in jail. Was it Eddie Murphy's character, Reggie? Or was it this inmate that we get to see here that it was credit card fraud, right?
I think.
Like, what are they in for?
I don't know what this guy's in for. This big bad guy? James Remar? A very young-looking James Remar, too. Like, I was like,
who
wow.
Later, when he wears... There's a point in my notes that I just call him Crochet Vest Guy, because he wears that weird crocheted vest, and he's really angry. He's a really good bad guy, I guess. He plays a good bad guy. You don't want to like him, but he's wearing a crocheted vest.
Is that what he's wearing,
the
middle
vest, part of
but
the
he
movie.
Doesn't have a shirt on?
Yes!
It's just a bad vest with no shirt underneath, and it's a good look.
Yes.
Like, if I had James Remar's physique, I'd run around in a vest.
You'd be sporting that look. Be all you. I love it.
Yeah, so James Remar's one of these inmates, and the cops are there with shotguns. I think there's 3 cops with their, you know, reflective sunglasses, you know.
Yeah, look
Cool
at
Hand
all.
Luke.
Copy.
And suddenly, a truck pulls up.
Crazy blue truck, right? Driving kind of crazy.
Where a guy gets out, and then James Remar starts to make Indian insults, just hurl Native American insults at this guy. Yep. And they get into a fight. And I'm not even one of the guards here, but I'm like, this is a fake fight. You do know that.
Yeah, they roll each other around in the mud.
They roll down like an embankment. And I guess then James Remar grabs a gun that the Indian gives him.
Yes.
And then they take...
Because the Indian came under false pretenses. Yes, claiming he was lost. Yes, and then they shoot the guards and they escape in the truck. And they are... What is it? I was going to say refugees.
Yep, they're refugees.
That's not what they're called when they're criminals when they run.
No, they're on the lam. Wait, why can't I think of the term either?
What are they? They're convicts? No, but that's what they are. They could be.
They're
what are they? They're like
convicts. But what is
yes,
that
that's it. That's the word. Escaped convicts.
So he escapes, and what I love is the rest of the guys who are working on this railroad are just standing around, like looking at each other, like, what
nobody else knows what to do.
Run?
Nobody else makes the bold moves. Yeah. Well, clearly nobody else was in his plan.
No.
His plan was to escape. He contacted somehow this Native American man to come help him, and the first thing they do when they're free is order some hookers.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
The first thing.
I mean, we don't know how long he's been away. I mean, it is what Eddie Murphy's obsessed with as well.
It's what does he call it? Triangle tape?
Trim.
He calls it
trim.
Trim. There you go.
That was a term I'd never heard before.
Me neither.
Okay,
that's
good.
Like,
all right. But the best is he's saying it, and when he's saying it to that girl, she's like, what? She doesn't even understand what he's talking about. I think he has to throw out 2 to 3 other slang words for sex before she understands what he's even talking about.
Yeah. But he is eager for it, too, after what? He had 3 years in the...
2.5. He has 3. He has 6 more months coming up.
Right.
All right. So, also, can we talk about the score throughout this movie? Did you notice?
Oh, the jazzy score.
The sexy saxophone. And it's a blending of, like, steel drum and saxophone. It's like calypso music, but with saxophone.
Yes,
it's
throughout.
Pretty cool.
Throughout.
It's crazy.
You do feel sort of jazzy. You want to just turn the fan on and let it breeze by your hair.
Right.
You want to sip a drink with a straw when you're watching 48 Hours. That's how the soundtrack makes you feel.
So right after this cold open, we're introduced to our hero, question mark, of the film, Nick Nolte. I don't even... Here's your goddamn dinner. I love when he gives him the candy bar. It's so great.
Oh, yeah, when he takes him to I know of a good place for food. I'm hungry, too.
And he really does just growl his entire way through this movie.
I don't even think there's a couple of scenes where I don't think he's moving his mouth.
I love, and it's so low. I watched this with the captions on, because I couldn't figure out how to turn them off. I know it's really stupid. So they were on the whole time. And I don't think I would have really noticed this if the captions weren't on. But when Eddie Murphy goes to sleep in the back of the car, he just growls like Nick Nolte. He just sits there and goes... and the captions were like growling in parentheses.
I didn't notice that, but that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So Nick Nolte wakes up with his girlfriend, I guess?
Yes, his lady friend. They seem to be more serious than you think.
They seem to be exclusive.
Yeah, there is some trouble there. Because it's only been 48 hours, and she gets pretty crazy, like, about him not calling. Like, he's a detective. He's doing this, like, chasing a murderer.
I can only assume this is not the
ex-convict.
first time this has happened in their relationship, you know? Like,
well, he doesn't seem stable. How about that? And their relationship seems a little unsteady.
right. I mean, they're fighting immediately. They wake up,
yeah.
And by the time he is pouring booze into his coffee, they're already fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man, I so want to jump ahead in this movie because what is her job when she calls him and she's in a scuzzy bar but dressed to the nines?
I don't know.
I was like,
is she like a... I don't know.
I don't know either because at one point...
But he says how she's like, when he gets deep for a minute and he talks about his girlfriend, which is a kind of random but sweet, but then it goes away really fast because I think he spouts the N-word after that. But he says about how his girlfriend, you know, she's unhappy because Reggie, Eddie Murphy, sincerely asks him, like, so what's up with your girl? What is she? Da-da-da. And he says that she has a dream that she can't fulfill. Like, she's working a job that she can't fulfill. So you think, like, well, she's working. I don't know.
Right,
I don't know
like,
what she does.
Yeah, it's like she has skills
like it's something
that she can't find a job for or something.
Yes,
which
yes.
I'm like, did she go to school for engineering and now she's working
Well, they don't
in a
really
bar?
show anything about her. Like, maybe she's an artist and that's what she really wants to. But you don't really know her other than her calling and yelling at him.
I tried to look online because it really did bother me because I was like, there has to have been scenes that were cut. Because at one point late in the movie, when Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte go to a bar, and which is a great scene because Nick Nolte's talking on the bar payphone.
Wait, which bar?
Oh, right. Well, that's a good question. It's the last bar they go to together.
Oh, yeah, when they go.
But he's on a payphone inside a bar drinking from his own flask. Which I thought was
yeah. When he calls her, yeah.
But then when he walks over to Eddie Murphy, he's limping. And Eddie Murphy's like, what happened? And he's like, my girl and I, we got in another fight. And I'm like, we didn't see that. Like, that didn't happen in this movie. Like, it made it seem like she kicked him or something. And if you're going to cut entire scenes, then don't have the characters talk about a scene that we didn't just see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe he just limps randomly, like he randomly just does
You think
that.
it was just...
You do it pretty good. I like your it's very
Thanks.
gravelly. It's gravelly.
Thanks.
Gravelly.
It kind of hurts. Like, I could do Snake.
That's how I feel that it must bother him. Like, I don't feel like that's a good condition for him to have.
No.
You go, I could do Snake?
I can do
you
Snake.
do a good
That's
Snake.
fun.
That's a little more comfortable. Nolte's painful. All right, let's keep going. Let's not analyze your Nolte.
So...
Your Nolte antics.
At this point, we keep cutting back and forth between Nick Nolte and then James Remar and the guy who, the Native American guy who got him out of jail. Mm-hmm. And they grab another dude right off the street. A guy named
there's
Luther.
just this couple walking. Yeah, there's a couple. They're walking. They're kind of fighting too. The couples in this movie don't have a good, right? Aren't they? They're talking about engagement rings though.
Oh, are they?
And they don't have money. Their money is an issue between the two of them. So they're kind of, and then these two scoop them up.
Scoop them right off the street.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of weird stuff that happens in broad daylight in front
Yes,
of a lot of people.
at the train station. Yeah.
Maybe
And
they
you're
steal
like,
a bus at some point. I don't know.
how they do that. Yeah. How they don't have better, like, but how the police force doesn't have better surveillance on these two, not seeing the things that they're doing, and like they're making...
They're
yeah.
pretty suspicious. I mean, if you put out an APB on like a 6.5-foot Native American
Yeah, they're
guy,
hard to miss. They're kind of hard to miss.
And James Remar in a knit vest, you're going to find these dudes. Plus, they're shooting everyone all the time.
And they're holding a girl hostage. They eventually take this couple that they scoop up. They threaten the one who is Luther. He is a friend of, we later find out, of Reggie, Eddie Murphy's character. He's in cahoots with all of this. So Luther promises them money.
Right.
I guess this elusive money. And they will keep his girlfriend until he produces said money. And that is, so now they have a hostage. And they, I guess, are going to go and hang out. This movie, by the way, takes place in San Francisco, right? We should, yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that because the only real reference to it made is, I think Annette O'Toole says some line about the coldest winter summer in San Francisco. Is that a lyric from a song?
I feel like it is. It's very poetic. Yeah. Like a Mamas and a Papa's song or something.
I feel so ignorant right now. I'm sure it's from something extremely famous, but I didn't know it.
That's right. I'm right there with you.
So yeah, they get these hookers and they go up to a room in this hotel, and Nick Nolte runs into Jonathan Banks and another cop. Whatever. Mr. I'm going to die immediately. And they kind of go into this hotel to get these guys. Right.
Now you get some sort of impression that Nick Nolte's character, Jack, I think is his name, right? That he's kind of definitely the black sheep of the police force.
He's a loose cannon.
Right?
He plays by his own rules, Jamie.
Like he just meets up with these guys. Oh, and he drives that. What does he drive? Like a beat up Cadillac.
Yeah.
He just drives up on them and is like, like you almost get the sense that he's not invited to this investigation, but he's coming.
Right. They're kind of like, oh, what are you doing now? And nobody seems to like him. His captain doesn't like him. The guy who sits next to him, who shares like a desk,
who takes his messages, the one that takes his phone messages. Yeah, he's not. I don't know. We're not privy to what kind of shit went down, but something went down. Besides that, he's just
the guy who sits next to him and takes and gets his phone message. There's a scene in this where Nick Nolte calls the precinct, and some random guy picks up the phone, like I guess the guy who's in charge of the phones. And Nick Nolte's like, "Hey, go get what's his butt." The guy who's in charge of the phones comes out and he's like, "Hey, asshole, answer your fucking phone. It's for you." And I'm like, Nick Nolte just called you and asked you to kill that guy. He didn't call him. It was a weird reaction. But yeah, nobody seems to like Nick Nolte at all. And I completely understand it.
He's a cranky man. And but he pushes his way into this hotel where they're going into the hotel to get these guys.
And it has the most sassy receptionist ever.
Oh, she is.
She's like,
I like
what
it.
are you doing,
when
you fucking cops? Get out of here. Shut up.
So sassy. Even when they go upstairs, she takes time to like make a personal call on the phone.
It is pretty great.
She's not concerned at all that the cops are upstairs going after some potential.
And after there are shots, Nick Nolte yells at her. He's like, "Hang up the phone, call the cops." Hurry up. So the other two cops go in because they know that's where these two bad guys are, and in a scuffle, the two bad guys escape because they have like a prostitute hostage, and I guess they still have Luther's girlfriend.
They never miss it. They ever, even when they escape these kind of situations, they just grab her.
Okay. All right. So they do run away. They kill the one cop who isn't Jonathan Banks, Mike from Breaking Bad, who looked so young. Like, he was another one that I was like, oh my God, he still looks like a basset hound. But I was like, he looks like a very youthful basset hound. He had hair on his head.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to see him.
A little more, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. And he gets shot in the process, but doesn't die yet.
No.
But there's a standoff downstairs.
Oh, and it turns deadly, and
it does. It does. And
this bad guy is so bad.
Oh, he's so bad. And when I was younger and I would watch movies like these all the time, like I never sat and I never thought, well, these bad guys are just comically evil. But that's what I kept thinking. Every time James Remar did something, I'm like, nobody would do that. Like, if Nick Nolte handed over his gun, and so he took it to shoot Jonathan Banks just for fun.
He's just cold-hearted. He's that kind of a killer.
Just for fun.
No heart at all. Right?
And that's what happens. They kill
two
cops.
And they get Nolte's gun.
They get Nick Nolte's gun. Nick Nolte's stunt double takes a great flying leap over the receptionist's desk.
Oh, yeah, right.
But the bad guys get away anyway, and Nick Nolte goes back to the police department. This is our first shots of the police department.
What a busy police department, by the way. So busy. Lots of whores being interviewed.
Well, to be honest, they're the ones that he just brought back there.
True.
So he's keeping this department in business. But his boss wants to hear none of it. And his boss is only on screen to have like a yelling match with Nick Nolte.
Yeah, he's just this loud, angry chief. Not happy with Nick Nolte at all.
No. And Nick Nolte, I have a lot of questions. And this may have to do with the fact that this movie was chopped up, I'm sure. But does Nick Nolte or Eddie Murphy ever make it clear why Eddie Murphy wants to go after Gans, who's the bad guy?
Because Gans wants his money. That money in the car belongs to Eddie Murphy or Reggie, and Gans they're all after it to some degree,
right? But
it's rightfully, I guess, Eddie's or Reggie's. But Gan, these all people know about it. So Gan wasn't. I think that when he gets Eddie Murphy says about their timeline, which I don't remember, how he didn't think Gan was out yet because Gan was expected to be out in another 4 years.
Oh,
Does that
so
make
then
sense?
Gan, but I didn't think Gan knew about the money. I thought Luther knew about the money. And Gan, I guess, just knew that Luther knew about the money, right? Because Luther goes to get the car. Like, Gan doesn't just go.
It's like Luther wasn't a bad guy enough for them. They're like, we need Gan. Right. Gan and his native friend. What is the native guy's name? I don't.
Luther's talking about getting engaged and everything. He can't be your
he's a little
killer.
More right. No.
All right, but here's my other question, piggybacking off of that. How does Nick Nolte know to go talk to Eddie Murphy?
Oh, because there's a moment where they so when we are meeting all these like characters down at the precinct, right? There's like the one Asian lady who's like in a lab coat, and she brings him that I guess it's supposed to be forensic information. There's like some characters that he randomly interacts with that give him like.
I know. I was like, if this became a network series, all of these people would have bigger roles. Exactly. He'd talk to that woman every day. It would be great.
But there's also a moment where some people bring some pictures. There was recently a murder, and we do see that again. It's just for a moment before the native and before the convicts call the prostitutes. They shoot a guy on a bench, right?
Yeah.
And that guy who they shoot in the head, they have his picture up at the precinct because they're doing the investigation. Oh, and I guess somehow
he knows
they bring that
Eddie
picture
Murphy
to
knows
Reggie.
That guy. Okay.
Yes.
God,
yeah. I paid careful attention.
When Eddie Murphy would get real with him, I was like, oh, Eddie Murphy's going to finally explain why all of this is happening. But he never did. No. Like, I was like, Gan killed my girlfriend or something.
Yeah, no, that's what I was waiting for, too. I thought there would be something a little bigger, like he took I just wanted there to be something more deeper, I guess, but it's 48 hours. There's only so deep we can go in 48 hours.
Okay. All right. Okay. I love it. All right. So anyway, so he does finally, and I know we've gone over it very quickly. Well, it's taken us a half hour to get to it. Imagine you hit play on 48 hours with the moment you hit play on this podcast. It would take this long for Eddie Murphy to show up.
Yes, it's true.
It really
You're
is.
Just waiting. And can I just say, I'm just going to say it. It was not his sassiest.
No,
Eddie Murphy.
No.
They definitely had. I think that was the other thing that made me uncomfortable. I wanted Eddie to be more Eddie, but
can I also say this? kind of an argument is he seemed like a real person.
He wanted to hang out with them.
He didn't seem like a cartoon character, you know, like
True.
I
see
kind
what
of
you mean.
expected that, and I think I would have been fine with it, because when he finds him in that jail cell and he's sitting on a recliner, a leather recliner, singing The Police. He's singing Roxanne by The Police. Get it? He's in jail.
Yes.
And he's got his Walkman on. Like, I was like, oh no.
It reminded me of when Julia Roberts is in the bathtub in that scene in Pretty Woman, and she sings the Prince song.
Yeah.
That was his Prince moment in his bathtub.
I was ready. I was like,
recliner.
oh my God, Eddie Murphy is going to be tap dancing his way through this movie. But you're right. It was a more
song and dance.
This is his first movie, Jamie. Did you know
that? Oh, that is why. That is why
movie.
I wondered. Well, and that too, like.
He's so good. For his first
It's
movie,
so
he's so good. I was
Oh,
on
he was
board.
really
Yeah.
good. No, I agree. If it was his first, then I'm completely impressed. And I was going to say, because I really did think, and maybe I sound whatever, I just thought that I thought it was really, really racist at times.
Well, no.
And
first of all,
for him
that
to-
has nothing to do with Eddie Murphy's jokes
But
or his
performance, yeah, or no. But I mean, like, he had to be aware of it but maybe not. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Do you think
I'm
that
sure he was aware of it,
that
but
they would turn a blind eye?
Jamie, I feel like this is what it was then. Like, I mean, it's so bad to say.
See, that's what makes me feel old,
But,
and that's
yeah.
what makes me feel it does make me feel proud, because I'm like, wow, that's just not acceptable.
Right.
That now, and that's why we look at it as it's even more of a comedy then to me, because of how, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you're extreme with it. But anyway, then to get back to Eddie Murphy's performance, though, I did enjoy him. I just wanted more of him. I guess more Eddie.
No.
Which you get, I guess, if you watch Beverly Hills Cop 2 or Beverly Hills Cop, you don't have to just go to the second one. I mean, you can.
You don't need that backstory. Fine. We know who Judge Reinhold is. Whatever. I love how you just went right to the second.
I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why. I think I meant also. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's pretty great. All right. Anyway. So the deal is that he will get Eddie Murphy out of jail, because Eddie Murphy, he takes the deal because he says there's something on the outside that I need to take care of, which...
And I think it's the money.
Yeah, later we find out he's got $500,000 in the trunk of his car.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why he wants out, is I guess because he knows that Gann can shake down Luther to get the money. Thanks for explaining that to me. I feel like such an idiot, because this movie isn't that complicated.
It's all right. You were trying to pay attention. You were reading subtitles.
I
right?
was.
Didn't you say?
I was reading it.
And Nick Nolte is very hard to understand for a while. So you
I may have benefited from those subtitles when he had his monologues. They decide to go find Luther. So anyway, Nick Nolte has him for 48 hours.
That is but I like
the deal.
it. So Nick Nolte, did you think it was funny? Because I didn't know, but maybe you do, I guess. He forges a note to get him out of jail.
Yeah. And I was like, who's he forging this note for?
Yeah.
Because apparently the guy who gets the note is sitting right next to him, encouraging him to do this. So I guess it's just going to the mayor, let's say. I don't know. And
it's, so... Because the one guy makes a comment to Nolte, if you ever want a career, forgery could be your next career or something like that. And you're like, what?
And I just didn't understand why he had to do that, because I was like, oh, is he forging something that says that Eddie Murphy will be released if he helps him or something? No, it's just the deal that they made where he'll go back to jail in the end.
But now he's a free man. Well, kind of free. He is handcuffed.
He is handcuffed at times. When he's in the police station, he does hit on hookers, which I thought was funny, because I was like, you don't need to hit on hookers, right? You just need money. But he just got out of jail. He doesn't have money. He does pretend to be a defense attorney, which was pretty great.
I do like that he puts on... Does he have it on right away? He gets into a suit. He wears a little suit for most of the...
Nick Nolte constantly references that suit as though it is Eddie Murphy's suit. So was that like the suit?
Maybe he kept it in jail with him.
Well, I was wondering like if
like
that
his going home
when they
suit.
picked him up, if he was wearing that, so they just had it there. And that's the only article of clothing that they could give him?
Or maybe that's his, like, because he seemed too eager to wear it. He wanted, because even when they talk about his dress, he says, well, I like to look nice, and this makes me look nice.
I love how constantly
he's a sharp dresser.
He makes reference to how things have changed since he's been in jail. And I'm like, you've been in jail for 2 years.
2 years, not that long.
I'm watching a workout video, and he's like, boy, TV has changed.
But it is a weird workout video. The one that the girls were watching.
It is weird, but I was like, this is not weird enough to comment on as though this is what television
as if
is
it's
now.
like, what's that moving in the
Luther
box?
pulls the red suit out of the trunk of his car. Eddie Murphy's like, that shit was popular back then. I'm like, 2 years ago. This is where Nick Nolte does open up to Eddie Murphy about his lady problem.
It's also where Nolte calls Murphy a watermelon. Just put that in.
Oh, and later on, he's like, that watermelon stuff. I can't even do a Nick Nolte. I cannot. But he does apologize later on. Sincerely, which is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't understand why, if you're a police detective, and again, this is my ignorance, you don't have to drive a police car, right?
Not if you're Nick Nolte, because you don't play by the rules, remember?
How many times does he get pushed around by cops in this movie? Like,
oh, yeah.
Dude,
they pick on him quite a bit.
If you just drove a car or wore your badge around your neck, like how the cool cops wear it, like it's a piece of jewelry, you would not constantly be arrested by other police officers. Yeah.
And stop. There's another time later in the movie when he cops, the subway cops, he tells them I'm an officer, and I guess he's got no way to prove it, so he has to drop his gun and he loses his guys again.
Mass murderers get away because he doesn't have his badge on.
He's ill-prepared, yeah.
Come on. They go to a bar called Torchy's. I love the names of these bars and clubs in this.
I didn't notice, but I should have.
You should have, because it is literally called Torchy's.
Okay.
There's a big sign and everything. Like, I guess they do spend money on stupid things in movies. Like, can't you just find a real bar with an actual name and just use that? Anyway, so they make a deal before going into this bar that if Eddie Murphy is able to get any leads, Nick Nolte will let him have sex with a lady.
Oh yeah,
this is the hillbilly bar / strip club. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, well, because there is a naked girl or topless dancing, but then there's women too at the bar, and it's just like a hillbilly. But again,
everybody is wearing plaid / flannel. And
they're listening to some fiddle and guitar.
I think they all have either cowboy hats or trucker hats on.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's a band. You're right. The band is playing fiddles. Literally, they're playing fiddles. And it's like an instrumental. Nobody sings. They're just playing, and some lady is like in these big fluffy chaps. You know those ones? And pasties, and she's dancing around. I did not understand what was happening at this bar.
I didn't understand what sort of establishment this is.
Please tell me if I'm an idiot. Was Meatloaf the bartender? That's
what I thought too.
Okay, good.
I go, it's either Meatloaf or Tom Arnold. I'm not sure.
I feel so bad because I never checked.
It did look a lot like Meatloaf in the beginning, but then the more he talks, I'm like, maybe not.
Well, when Eddie Murphy took his hat, I was like, maybe that isn't Meatloaf. But boy, that dude looks just like Meatloaf.
So the possible Meatloaf bartender. Well, first of all, when we get into this bar, it's they've made the deal, and Reggie is in control, essentially, right? He gets to
he gets to pretend to be a cop.
He gets very kind of aggressive right away.
It is fun. It's a good... anytime the camera is just like on Eddie Murphy and it's just Eddie Murphy go, he's really, really good at it. And he's great in this bar.
Yeah, he talks to a couple of the patrons, right? And he pats down a group of men, right? And he steals some of their weapons, which later Nick Nolte's noticed all of the switchblade, the gun, everything that he took. Basically, they want information from this bar about who? The Indian guy, right?
Right, yes. I don't know why the Native American is a patron of this bar. Like, this does not look like a scene that he would be into.
Well, maybe it's both them. I think both of them hang out there, but they know where his girlfriend lives.
Yes, his girlfriend's down
That's
the
what
street
they
in
know.
like Chinatown or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fun because Eddie Murphy's just breaking stuff. Like, he literally asks for a vodka. They make a joke about a black Russian. And then he drinks it and just smashes the dude's mirror with the shot glass.
And he starts a whole thing, just crazy like monologue, about what he's there to do. And
I like when he takes the money from the guy and he's like, "Where'd you get this?" And he's like, "A tax refund." And his response is, "You're too stupid to have a job."
Yeah, no, he slays them basically with his words. He's a word slayer, and he is, I guess, the reverse racist in this situation. Could you say? Am I using that word too?
The reverse
liberally.
Racist?
I guess that's
no,
not
I know
really
what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, it's him kind of playing out it's not the term I'm looking for. But
I know what you're saying.
But the right term for this is, let me just say, P.S., this movie is titular.
Oh, yeah. They might say 48 hours 13 times in this movie.
Yeah.
So they're on the trail of the Indian's girlfriend.
Yes.
They show up. This is when they see the workout video and are very perplexed by it. And they bust in on these two ladies, a blonde and a brunette. The brunette seems to be the one who is dating the Indian guy. Well,
they're both very sassy. She's got a gun,
very sassy.
Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They later call them dykes, and I'm like, why do they assume they're lesbians? They were told
because they're two women, strong women. They're two strong women that stood up to them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, I can see it. Why am I questioning any of the stereotypes that this movie pushes on us? So they don't really get information, right, from her at this time?
No, I don't think so. Right?
They don't, because they're frustrated, and this is when they have the longest fist fight I've ever seen on film, except for like They Live, which goes on forever. But they fight forever.
Oh yeah,
they go onto this alley and just trade punches.
Yeah, this is what. Oh, we forgot that earlier. Well, it didn't matter, but one of the ways that the first way that Nick Nolte kind of said, like, okay, the first mission has to be, you have to do. It's not going into the bar that was his first mission. Uh-huh. He had to find Luther first, or take him to where Luther lived. Remember,
oh my God,
he does like a series of
Sorry,
things.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're fine. But it's in that scene. It didn't really matter because the thing is that Luther so they find Luther, but this is early on in their pairing. Mm-hmm. So Nick Nolte handcuffs Eddie Murphy to the car, so he can't go in the apartment to get Luther. Mm-hmm. Well, so Luther gets away from everybody. Freaking gets away from Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte can't hold on to anyone.
He's not a good police officer.
No, he's given away his gun. He's not good at the job. But so he gets away. Luther gets away from Nick Nolte, but even handcuffed, Eddie Murphy takes down Luther with like the door. Like he flings the door open of the car. Which he does to Nick Nolte, too. Yep. He hits Nick Nolte with the car door, too. I'm like, that's like his move there.
The best part about that Luther scene is watching Nick Nolte rough this poor guy up. He keeps slamming him to the door.
I know, he does.
Really angry. And I'm like, how is this guy okay with this? Like, he must be pulling those punches and not hitting the... It's done extremely well because I was terrified for Luther's safety.
But you're never really terrified when these two are fist fighting, are you?
No. I was like, this is going to end in a draw, or Eddie Murphy's going to win and then Nick Nolte has more respect for him. But no, regular cops show up, break it up.
Which is kind of funny in and of itself.
Yeah, he proves to them that he's an actual cop. And then he gets in the car and punches Eddie Murphy one more time just for good measure. And this is also where Eddie Murphy lets him know that I have money in the trunk of this car.
Right, he tells him about the $1 million or the $500,000.
And then they have to wait the night for the garage to then open up.
7 a.m.
Which
is
at
when
this
it opens.
which at this point, I mean, there's what, like 40 minutes of the movie left? And everything at this point has been kind of happening in real time. And I'm like, not even a day has gone by. How are they doing
That's
this?
why I don't understand why Nick Nolte's girlfriend is so mad at
It's
him.
all the same day.
It's only been like, yeah. And she's like, what? But again, I guess this is just kind of routine for him that he doesn't.
I would assume so.
He must have 48 hours every 48 hours. I don't know.
He has 48 hours every 48 hours. She's like, the clock starts now, Nick. I'm going to call you in 3 hours to make sure you're okay. Jack, whatever his name is. So Luther stops by the garage to get the car. The guys working there are amazed because the car's been there for 2.5 years.
Oh, right.
And it's so dusty.
Oh, it's a mess.
Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy tail him.
Yes.
And they follow him to like a subway station.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know. Is it a shootout? Shots are fired, right?
Shots
a subway
are fired.
cop is killed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gans kills police everywhere, all the time.
Oh, he can't just shoot one bullet either. He's got to fire it off. And he is not afraid to flash that thing because again, you would think these two convicts wouldn't be in a crowded, like you would think they're like America's Most Wanted, like their faces are plastered, like be aware of these two. And they're not trying to be like wear hats or jackets, like he's literally wearing a tank top. And the other guy's a tall Native American Indian, right?
They're running around holding a woman with a gun to her head.
But nobody in this subway station, this busy, bustling subway station, is the least bit worried
gotta get to
that
work.
they're approaching a shady man who's like eyeballing all around him with his with a briefcase.
But it is at this point that they split up because Eddie Murphy runs after Luther and the money, and Nick Nolte has a shootout and then is arrested by the subway police. And now we get Eddie Murphy in the swinginest club ever. It's amazing. And this club is called Vromans. That's not a word.
Romans or vermins?
Roman apostrophe S.
Like Romans. Like
It's
vroom,
written
vroom.
in neon. And I swore it said Romans.
Yeah. But you went back.
And I was like, oh, it's all in like lowercase. That's a weird way to write it. And I guess I thought the V was just a big squiggle. But when Eddie Murphy gets on the phone and Nick Nolte's like, where are you? And he's like, Vromans. Why would you name this place Vromans in your movie? Why type those letters together? It's terrible. But he does. He's at Vromans trying to pick up women. But he does call Nick Nolte and say, like, hey, here, I'm at Vromans. Come on down.
Oh, this is when he leaves the message for him, though. He doesn't get to talk to Nick, right? This is when he leaves the message at first. Because Nick Nolte is kind of busy fighting with his girlfriend again, right? Aren't they fighting again, I think? That's why he misses his call. This
is a great part where he's waiting for the call. And sorry, this isn't that part where the guy at the police precinct yells at his partner. This is when Eddie Murphy's Nick Nolte's sitting at his desk waiting for the call, and the phone rings. And he picks up and he's like, "Where are you, motherfucker?"
Oh yeah,
it's the chick. She's so angry, and I'm like, "Why would you answer the phone like that?"
Not knowing who it could. But then I don't know.
And even if it is Eddie Murphy, like, he's calling you. Don't be angry at the guy who's calling you.
That's all he could be. He's a very angry cop. Very angry. This Nick Nolte.
This is when she's at the bar, like, dressed in a crazy cocktail dress. Weird and her makeup is insane.
Is she an...
I don't know. Her eye makeup is...
Like, is she a magician? Or is
You're right. She looks like a magician's assistant. That might be her job. That would make
I want
so
it to be her
I
job.
want that to
I
be
want
her
it
job.
to be her job.
Oh, it's a shame that maybe not. I'm happy that this movie was an hour and a half. So do I need more about their relationship? Probably not.
Well, do you need it? No. Would have made the movie a little bit different? Yes, because you don't really get their relationship. It seems angry. It seems bitter. She seems unhappy. But he needs her, and he makes it a point to say, and to seem like he does. But if you had a little more backstory, you might care even a little more, because he's just angry. He's angry to everyone. But same thing with Eddie Murphy. If there was a little more than just the money, like you said, if it was a wife or a girlfriend or something like that he also wanted to get for, or the money for his mom or something, but there's, again, mother. It doesn't get, I don't know. It doesn't pull those kind of heartstrings. It doesn't need to. It's not that kind of a movie. So you don't need to know if she's a magician's assistant or not.
But that's the other thing. Like, you either put this character in there to develop her or him or their relationship, or just leave her out. Like,
yeah, I didn't think he needed to have any kind of steady, but I think, again, they wanted to show you, because he did, and part of their bonding was talking about women.
No, you're right. You're right. That makes sense. I don't know, but there's no closure either. Like, I think this is the last time in the movie that we see her.
You want them to have a wedding, like at the end of Mannequin? You just want, like, Estelle Getty to be like, that's right. Here you go.
In a storefront in San Francisco, getting married.
No, down at the precinct. There. They would do it down at the precinct.
That would be great. I might, yeah, okay.
That's the closure you need? Is that the closure you need from 48 hours? Yeah, but then that would make it 52 hours, and the movie is called 48.
They get married in 4 hours? Like, come on, baby. Get down to the precinct. We're getting married. Right before he takes Eddie Murphy back to jail. So, also at this club, I don't want to talk too much about Eddie Murphy's dancing, but I thought he'd be a better dancer.
Why? Because it's so bad. I know. He's doing a white man dance.
He dances as well as I do. Like,
I know.
It's like Eddie Murphy's dancing.
Made note of that. I was like, why in the dance
He's kind of just bouncing up and down.
Yeah, and
like,
using his fingers. It's like they were like, don't bring it. Just But now knowing that it was his first acting, maybe he wasn't, I don't know.
But listen, maybe he just can't dance. Like,
maybe Eddie Murphy just can't dance.
I would think he could, though, or do something. Anyway.
Well, he doesn't. But he does ask, this is when he asked that woman for sex.
For trim?
Yeah, for trim.
What? That must have been a phrase that was popular in 1982 and did not escape
Eddie Murphy's head. In Eddie Murphy's head. He's like, I call it trim. I don't know what y'all call it.
It is funny when he's talking to this lady, because he's like, let's just go right now across the street. It's like a hotel. Yeah. I don't have any money. Can you pay for the room?
And then she's like, you even want me to pay for it?
And then when Nick Nolte busts in and breaks the two of them up, she's like, so maybe I'll see you later? I'm like, you're into this, lady?
She's kind of into him. Well, he's got that charming comedy kind of way about him, They do end up together later, don't they? End up meeting up later.
I understand. Eddie Murphy is a pretty good-looking guy. He's not an unattractive man, but I don't know. He wants you to pay for this room. He's a total stranger.
He's a bit aggressive, right?
Weird one-liners or phrases that she doesn't seem to understand. But anyway, it does work out for him.
It does. We don't know how long-term they go either, but we know that they make it to our second date.
They do. They do. During their first date, when they walk outside, Eddie Murphy sees Luther. Just happens to see him with the bag of money again. And then he has to run inside, get Nick Nolte, and then they have to go after Luther, who is picked up by a bus.
He knew the bus station to wait at.
And that's why
the Native American is driving. Right?
I was like, is this the Native American guy's job? Like, is this his legit job? Is that he's
like
also
he was a bus driver?
Because if you are trying to keep a low profile, you don't
take a bus.
And then start shooting people on this bus.
Yeah, and have a car chase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing about this makes sense.
No. And nothing about it makes sense that the authorities aren't all over it before Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, or while they are. You know what I mean?
They're shooting guns back and forth between a city
There's been a stolen bus,
and
there's
car, and no other police ever show up to this. Nick Nolte drives his car into what appears to be a car dealership.
Yeah, it looks like it's a Cadillac dealership, which is ironic because he's got that Cadillac.
And no other police show up. So I understand why the captain is angry at Nick Nolte. I get it.
Oh,
you should have called for backup or whatever. But can't any of your other guys find a stolen bus?
How were they not aware? How is Nick Nolte the only one on this case?
I don't know. I don't know. Also, in the chaos, Luther is killed. We never know if his girlfriend is. I want to know if she's okay or not.
Oh, that's right. They kill him though, right? On the bus.
Yeah. Gan kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he seems offended. Because Luther's like,
"Oh, that's right.
Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "I told you I wasn't going to hurt her." And then he shoots him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to think that they let her off the bus just to now live this tormented life where she had this horrible experience happen to her and just watched her fiance get killed.
Right. They weren't engaged yet. Maybe she'll find somebody who has the money for a ring.
Well, she's going to need to get over these last 48 hours. So for her, I guess 46.
Right. But at this point, after they go into the captain's office and he yells at Eddie Murphy. Nick Nolte defends Eddie Murphy, and then Eddie Murphy defends Nick Nolte. Oh,
it's very sweet. You can see they're getting to like each other. They're getting to,
right. But it's basically the end of these 48 hours because he is told this is a terrible idea.
Yeah,
Eddie Murphy needs to go back.
You need to cut it out.
That's right, Joey Gladstone. Just cut it out. And I really enjoy how when he takes Eddie Murphy outside, because now they have Eddie Murphy's car, which has been washed. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it did. I think that Nick Nolte had that done, right?
Yeah, he had it impounded. I can't even. I shouldn't even try.
It's like you're swallowing your own throat.
It's so awful. And all I can say is goddamn dinner. He must say goddamn 87 times in this movie. Every time he talks.
He's so foul-mouthed in this movie. He's so foul-mouthed.
But when he walks him outside, he uncuffs Eddie Murphy and then throws the cuffs. Just throws.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right. Like,
far. I'm like, those are handcuffs and you have the key. Like, so you can use those later, right?
Is this? Yeah.
But this is when he says, "Hey, let's go to a bar. Let's have a last drink before I take you back." They have a little heart-to-heart, I guess.
They're getting close, yeah.
They are.
As close as these two can be.
So why do they end up going back to Chinatown? How does that... Because they go back to the Indian's girlfriend, but I don't know how they come to that conclusion.
Because did they find out the bus was abandoned there?
Probably.
Then that's what happens, and then they have a discussion.
How do they know that there's a bus there and nobody else knows that?
I think that they found that out maybe when they were still at the precinct, and Nick Nolte starts to kind of theorize, what if he went back there? What if he went back to his girl? And remember, because Eddie Murphy's like, no, that couldn't be the case. Remember, she wasn't really into him. And he was like, again, because we're meant to think that Nick Nolte will do anything for his love, who he verbally abuses left and right. He thinks that, the native will do anything for his, I guess, because now remember, they think they're lesbians. So for his lesbian girlfriend.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess.
But he has this hunch, nonetheless, that that's where they could be, is back at Chinatown. And they do get some sort of final, yes, that's where they are, because then they go themselves. I forget what the final, clue is.
I don't know.
Clues them into, finally just go, leave the bar and go to Chinatown.
Well, it works out. It's a good hunch, let's say.
Yeah.
Because they do. They find the brunette. They find her in the stairwell. And she gives them up immediately. She's like,
oh, yes. She's
he's in the
grocery
room
shop.
upstairs.
Yep.
You go to the end of the hall, the other guy's right there. So they kind of split off in that Eddie Murphy takes on the Native American and Nick Nolte goes after Gann. The Native American gets blown away.
Oh, yeah.
He seems to think that Eddie Murphy is not going to shoot him. So he approaches him with a very large knife. But Eddie Murphy does shoot him. How many times did you watch this movie, Jamie? Because I think it's affecting you. So he kills that guy. He puts bullets in him. There's blood all over the place. And it is throughout this film. There's blood all over. This
Everywhere.
movie is very violent.
Pretty gory, yeah.
But Gann gets away.
Always. Everybody gets away from Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte is the worst cop. Eddie Murphy should be a cop, I think. He's the first cop to shoot a bad guy in this movie.
Yes, it's true. This is true.
He's not even a cop.
With
I
his
just
own
called him a
gun.
cop.
With his own gun.
Yeah. So
Oh.
then there's like it's like a chase in the back alleys of Chinatown.
Yes. Did you notice how very smoky
It's
they were?
so smoky, and it's all just lit with neon signs as
Yeah.
well.
Because it's an alley, you know?
But Gann finally gets the drop on Eddie Murphy and holds him hostage.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Nick Nolte looks so badass when he walks around this corner and
Yeah.
he just steps up on Gann. He looks so amazingly angry. Like there's nothing there. There's no emotion at all. And he just shoots him. Eddie Murphy's like, shoot him, just shoot him. And he does. And of course, Eddie Murphy's like, I was just kidding. You shouldn't have done that. But Nolte's a great shot.
He's the hero now. Look what he did.
That's
And
right.
I like it when he is shot. He does his own impression of Nick Nolte. I got shot. I got shot.
He seems very surprised by this.
Yeah.
You hit me.
No one's ever shot him.
You hit
I guess.
me.
No one's ever shot him.
You hit me. I got shot. You hit me. He still has his gun though, and he like runs at Nick Nolte for some reason. And Nick Nolte unloads and shoots him like 6 more times.
These guys have got to go. Death.
Lays waste to him. Basically, that's it. Like the end. Eddie Murphy finally has sex with that lady from the club.
Oh yeah, he finally gets his. I keep wanting to call it like triangle, but that's not what it's.
Nope, that's not what it is. He gets his triangle, and he's like, "Wait for me in 6 months. Like we go out to dinner." It's a pretty funny line when he leaves. And
So, but
says
why
that.
does he have to still wait 6 months? Why doesn't he get his get out of jail free now?
That wasn't the deal. The deal was just to get him out so that he could take care of
But
his
he did such a
business.
good job, and now they're friends. Because I remember that he was like, well, no, because he's surprised. He tells Nick Nolte, this tells you what a good guy Nick Nolte really
Stand-up
is deep
guy.
down. Yep. Eddie Murphy kind of says, you can have whatever portion of the money that you're going to take. What do you think you're... And Nick Nolte doesn't want any of it.
No,
He just wants enough to maybe get a car.
it's not my scene. I don't know. It's not... But he doesn't say scene. He's like, it's not my style. It's awful.
Oh my God.
How is he an actor? His mugshot though is one of the better celebrity mugshots when he has a crazy hair and he's wearing
Oh,
a
yeah,
wide
he
shirt.
does look... Yeah, he definitely looks crazy.
He says that he will, I guess, put like the money can just go in the trunk of Eddie Murphy's car, and it'll be there.
And Eddie
in
can
6
have it,
months
yep.
when he gets out. Everyone else who knows where this money is dead. So
Yeah,
it's-
so he's the only one. It's all his. He's worked for it. He's just got to make it through the next 6 months.
yeah, and they have a great laugh, and they drive off together. I guess back to
And
jail.
that's it. Yeah.
And that's the end of 48 Hours.
That was all 48
Our
of them.
first buddy cut, like our first
First one.
hard-boiled, gritty blood. Like I don't know. We haven't done a movie like this, and I did not know what to expect. I never know what to expect when we talk about this because I do have to tell you, Jamie. Most of the time when I'm watching these movies, as I'm taking notes, unless it's something really goofy like Mannequin, I'm taking notes going, what are we going to talk about? Like, how is this funny? How is this interesting?
What is this going to make for?
Right, exactly. So I was really scared to talk about this because I thought it was a pretty good movie.
You liked it. You liked it. Never saw it before.
I had never seen it. I had always heard it was pretty good, and and a precursor or predecessor to all these buddy cop films.
Yeah,
it was good. I enjoyed this, and the biggest problem, like I said earlier, that I have with these buddy cop movies is they're so overwrought and long.
Yeah,
and this is just like
boom,
boom, boom, get in there, do it, done. Eddie Murphy, funny, the end.
Right.
So I enjoyed it.
Right. So you had a good time with it?
Yeah, I did.
Not so much.
Yeah, I know it's tough to get past the racism.
I had a hard time with that. I think I didn't remember seeing this movie, but I remember seeing Beverly Hills Cop, the first one, not two. And I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
So I had a good, I don't remember much of it, but I had a good memory related to it. And when I watched this, I was almost scarred, thinking, was this the movie I had a good or was the movie that I liked any of this kind of vibe? I mean,
right.
Yeah, I guess I could appreciate where you would like it. I wouldn't say I would give it a 3.
Okay.
It's not the worst movie we've ever seen. It's not Scanners, but it's not quite Sleepaway Camp. So, at least in my book.
It's funny because I was thinking about our anniversary episode, and our last episode we talked about the 3 worst movies we saw and the 3 best, and I was like, we can do that again. And as I was looking through, I'm like, is there any question what the best movie was that we saw? I was like, it's Sleepaway Camp, right? I mean, that is hands down.
Whenever I hear 2 people say, because it's like anything, like when you want a certain car and then all of a sudden all these people in your life have that car and know about it. All of a sudden people will say Sleepaway Camp, and I'm like, have you seen it? I love that movie. Oh my God. So I welcome the opportunity to talk about my love of Sleepaway.
All right, so somewhere between Scanners and Sleepaway Camp is where 48 Hours falls for you. That's a wide trough, I believe.
Well,
it's all right. It's all right. Oh my God! All right, so Jamie, do you have any recommendations based on this movie?
So, is it okay not to recommend a movie?
Are you just going to recommend hanging out with Nick Nolte or something?
I'm going to recommend an album.
Of course.
I'm going to recommend a little Hall & Oates Private Eyes album, 1981. Features the hits like the titular Private Eyes.
Okay. All right. I want to see where you're going with this. Let's keep going.
Also, the hit I Can't Go For That, which spent at least 1 week at the top of the R&B charts, which is an accomplishment for a white band such as Hall & Oates. And the album itself, and especially the titular song from it, will leave you with that same kind of creepy feeling, but fun, that 48 Hours leaves you with.
Wow! Wait.
So yes, my recommendation is you listen to the album, Private Eyes, by Hall & Oates.
And then watch 48 Hours and see how
but
they
you don't
compare?
Need to.
Okay.
You'll get the same effect.
Wow.
Hall & Oates are buddies, just like this is a buddy cop movie.
I love this. I don't know who's who, though. If I try and think about Hall & Oates, I don't know who is Nick Nolte, because they both seem more like Eddie Murphy. I don't know who the Nick Nolte is of that relationship. Oh, man.
Well, what is your recommendation? What is yours?
My recommendation is I'd recommend another buddy cop movie, and the pairing of Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay isn't always a good one because there's a lot of explosions and nonsense and Armageddon.
A little flashy.
Right. Yeah. But the movie Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is such a fun movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, again, another one that goes a bit too long. And the second one, oh my God, the second one, it's got to be like a 3-hour movie. It's insanely long. Where they just do the same thing. The first one, they're so good, and that's what you need. If you're going to do this, you have to have 2 likable leads. And I did think that Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy did play off of each other rather well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But 2 weeks. So when we record our next podcast on that date in 1981,
oh boy,
I really had to dig deep for this one. The BMX Foundation was formed. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it means. It doesn't matter because it gives us an excuse to talk about BMX Bandits.
Okay.
It's a movie. And it is our first foray outside of the United States where we're going down under, Jamie.
Wow. But you know what? Those Australians, they do some good shit. Do you mean that kind of down under?
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't
Or do
call
you mean, like...
Yahoo Serious good shit, but sometimes they do. This stars a very young Nicole Kidman. Very young.
Oh, because she's from down under.
Yes, exactly. And it's like a movie that's notoriously bad, but people enjoy because of it. I've never seen it. So we are on a tear. Mannequin, 48 Hours, BMX Bandits, movies I've never seen.
This is all new to you. This is all new to your life.
And so far, Mannequin in 48 Hours, 2 for 2 for me.
I was going to say, we've done some positive changes to your life as of late.
All right, anyway, that's it. So,
all right.
In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about BMX Bandits, where kids ride bikes in Australia, I guess.
Yeah, that should be fun. I wonder
know
if there's some good bike footage on. I went to the X Games once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Did you have a Mountain Dew while you were there?
Did you have a Mountain Dew?
Did I just have a weird, Scottish accent?
I felt like you did.
Oh. You went to an X Games?
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we save this for the next podcast? Because I don't know this story.
I'll tuck it away. I'll expose.
All right. Was it a winter games or was it a summer game? Okay.
I think it was summer.
So
there was some indoor biking happening. Well, you were in this
Oh, it was all
stadium?
indoor.
Well, we went to different competitions. Like one bike thing they did in an auditorium. And they did the boys would just go on these bike ramp things. Let me
do some research.
Yeah.
Try to recall all of this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, that's it for us. And tune in 2 weeks. We'll talk about BMX Bandits.
Yes.
And in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Twitter. We're at GTGMcast. And rate and review us on iTunes. We really appreciate that. That helps us.
Right.
And that's it.
That's all.
Oh, I was on, I shouldn't have saved this for the end, but I was on another podcast.
Nice.
It's called Criterion Now. So you can find them and listen to that episode. But then at the end, they did shame me a little bit because we don't have a website.
Oh, we need a website.
I need to do that. No, I'll just put something together that's pretty shitty and just to have it.
Some shitty and accessible.
It's pretty easy
I like
to
it.
do. I'm just really lazy and I don't want to do it now.
Oh.
So, summer.
Well,
all right, that's it.
Summer it is then. All right.
All right. See you.
Summer.
Everybody.
Look for our website coming this summer. All right. Goodbye.
We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Well, there's a reason everybody should be shaking in the house tonight. And you should grab your favorite lady and promise her you do it right. Tell Fat Jack to jump back and give you a shot of some booze. So you can party to some soft down, butt bump and rock and roll rhythm and blues. 'Cause the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I know that everybody when they hear the music will be doing it on the floor. Jump up and down and turn around and tell the band to play some more. So tonight you can dance and romance and do anything you feel like doing.
Come on.